It's magic, you know. Welcome to the Eggman Show. Yes, my friends, that peaked the microphone, so your ears might hurt a little bit from that. But we are back to another episode of Egg Wars. Yes, indeed, you know how we are doing. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to everybody. And I also want to give a special shout out to, my three amigos who are always chilling in my description. If you ever want to go sub to my buddies, Arto, producer Chris, and now featuring Jack Hinoff, who is trying to keep some regular uploads and trying to do his thing as well. So shout out to my dudes. And of course, once again, shout out to everybody for tuning in. I'm just gonna keep my drink spinning for a minute here while I tell you some fantastic news. So, my boy, Fart Crapper, aka Bob, aka Asian Wheelchair Autist, aka the CEO and head developer of Soiree Games and Neckbeard's Basement Arena. He made an incredibly fantastic, awesome music video today for a song that I didn't even know existed. It's actually been out for a little while. I didn't even know it was out, but it's actually from the soundtrack of his new upcoming game that he's currently developing. But this music video is fantastic. It is hilarious. It is awesome. I love it. It's so good. So that's in the description. I highly, highly encourage you to check it out. I like to shout out a lot of random people's stuff, but, it's all me. It's all a song about me. So, and it's funky fresh, techno fresh. Now, his video does have an iTunes purchase link if you have that. I don't do iTunes, but I actually found it on Amazon. So I'm going to put that, it's 99-cent MP3. I don't get anything from this. I'm not trying to shill it for that reason, but I don't know if you're down with the egg lore and it's, you'll probably get a kick out of it like I did. So I had to cop that shit and I've been jamming it while I play Quake Champions and get blown the fuck out repeatedly. Alright, that's probably enough rotation of the sip. Let's get it, boys. And once again, I do not condone if you have heart problems, if you, what else? If you're a nursing woman or sensitive to caffeine or children or any of that shit, don't drink this. People are telling me, Eggman, you gotta stop drinking that shit. It's gonna kill you. Your kidneys are gonna give out. You're gonna die. And that's probably true. That's probably why my fucking foot broke for me just dancing a little bit on it. Just hardly really that much activity shattered my fucking bone in my foot. So, maybe I am not the healthiest person. Maybe I should work on it. But in the meantime, you know what? My low energy levels need to be supplemented with something while I'm recovering, and that's going to do the job. So let's get to it, baby. Let's get to it. Ooh, yeah. Refreshing. Now, the topic today, I had saw somebody comments, I think it was actually on the Sam Hyde video, they said something about, talk about your some internet relationships that never really went anywhere, or some people you talked to on the internet but you never met, something like that. Now, I was thinking to myself, last year, and of course I've talked about it on streams to an extent as well, but I was like, I need to really get my mind in the right kind of frame, because I keep thinking so much about, I made an Ask Eggy about that, but I'm like thinking about, okay, that was last year with no fucking lighting in my fucking car, and, a lot of people, are new and they might not know everything, and that video is only like 5 minutes long, so I'm like, fuck all that shit. We gotta do better. Maybe I need to start kind of reapproaching these topics and really flesh them out for the Egg Wars experience. So that is what I am going to do today. I'm going to give a little story, concerning the internet history pre-Eggman, because although it has been a whoppingly incredible 3 years since I basically became such a fucking festering, shitposting human piece of garbage that I basically fucking got memed into something that was way bigger than what I ought to be. There's a lot of shit that happened before that too, so we're going to dial it all the way back. We're going to start from the beginning. So basically, I've pretty much been internet connected, I would say, since because when we first got our very first family computer, it didn't even have an internet connection. It was basically for fucking solitaire and I want to say Notepad. I'm trying to think, this is like Windows 95, so whatever, very limited. I don't remember, we had a couple fucking, educational games or whatever. So we didn't even have internets at our family computer for the longest time. I would say I really started getting into the internet probably 1999, 2000, somewhere in that range, because one of the main components to my internet history as a teen and so on and so forth is going to be Newgrounds.com. And I have had an exorbitant amount of Newgrounds accounts for various reasons, most of which were malicious. But my very first Newgrounds account, I still have access to it. It is Shitass. And Shitass was created in May of 2000, so that is an account I've held on to. I can't even remember what fucking, like, mail.com or AOL or whatever the hell that was even attached to at the time, but somehow I still have access to it through some, the last time I posted on it was like 8 or 9 years ago, but anyways, moving on. 1999, 2000-ish, what was good? My grandparents had a computer that did connect to the internet, and it was a brand new model at the time. It could play Black and White 1. It could play GTA 3. This was like the hot business. This had like 16 MB of video memory, so their place was like the internet spot. Even though it was dial-up, it would be like we'd be chilling or whatever, and just kind of like just chomping at the bit to play some GTA 3, and then when everybody went to bed, you'd go and sneak on and get on the dial-up because nobody would be using the phone, so it didn't matter, and you could go on and go to shit like, I don't even remember all the websites at the time, but obviously you had like flashplayer.com, E-Bombs World, Albino Black Sheep, whatever the hell else was going on, on these sites back in the day. You'd go back and watch. I remember I was just fiending as a young person to watch that fucking Mario Sprite Bohemian Rhapsody video, because I actually ended up, a little bit later, like a couple years later, I got a record player from a garage sale for 50 cents with speakers. So this goes to show you, this is before hipsters were a thing. This is before any of that was a thing. So I was able to get this record player with speakers at a garage sale for 50 cents because they just wanted to get rid of it. And I was able to get vinyls, including some Queen vinyls. So then I was able to get a vinyl that had, Bohemian Rhapsody. I had some comedy vinyls, all these different things that I used to listen to just for fun. And also when I started learning piano, because my grandmother had a piano, but I found a way to order a music sheet off the internet so I could try and teach myself how to play Bohemian Rhapsody on the piano. So that fucking Mario cartoon and all these fucking Sprite cartoons, that was what was up when I was a kid, when I was younger. All that stupid crap that you would probably see, like 5 years later in an email, like, the ding, fries are done, Burger King thing, I can't even remember all the different shit that was on there back at that time, but that was just the main jam. That was the fucking thing. That was the business. That was just where it was at. And of course, Newgrounds then, once we got acquainted, because it was like, when nobody's around, then that's when we go on Newgrounds, because what if a boob pops up, or what if whatever pops up, oh my god, nobody can see that, you're gonna be in so much trouble, so it's like so adult, and so, you're gonna click on the wrong thing, and it's gonna go crazy, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, I'm gonna get busted, So it was like Flash Player, whatever, and then when the lights dimmed, then it was like, alright, we'd go to Newgrounds. And there was a guy who I went to school with, who, his mother was, like, divorced or whatever, but she was dating a guy who was, like, I don't want to say he was a software engineer. I don't think that makes sense. I don't really recall 100%, but he was something to do with computers. He worked for some tech company. And so when DSL came around, then he got the hookup, and he was, like, the dude that had the hookup, and whoa, there had been guys who were like in my neighborhood that had, like Wolfenstein and Doom, and these were like, this is the coolest thing, this is so cool. But when he got DSL, he had motherfucking Unreal Tournament, Game of the Year Edition, Unreal Tournament 2000, Quake, fucking Duke Nukem, all these different games that were just like, oh my god, so cool, you gotta, he was like, so cool, you gotta go hang out with them, and, and pretty much usually just be watching him play, and if you were lucky enough, he would, like, get tired and say, okay, I'm gonna go to bed, but you can play a couple matches or whatever, but then you have to, like, shut my computer down. Okay, that was, like, the fruit, the golden fruit, just to be able to experience that smooth gameplay on his relatively high-end computer. Oh, that was the coolest, but after a couple years, we start to be, like, let's say, like, 2000, when the fuck did some of these games come out? I'm talking about, like, the dating sims and all that shit, the Evangelion dating sim, the fucking Love Hina dating sim. I think there was like sex hentai cat girl RPG or some shit, and that came out in like 2004 maybe. I remember when that was new, when that was fresh, and I was like, oh my god, it's this new thing we gotta check out, and that was like, probably fucking like 13, 14 years ago. Christ, I'm getting old. But anyway, so time goes on, time goes by, it just kind of becomes actually, and it was before I even ever really got into Newgrounds. I was such a supporter of Flash animation. I thought it was just the coolest thing ever that people could, you could make a cartoon on your own computer. I remember I went and visited my uncle in Colorado, and I downloaded because he had a higher end computer, so I downloaded a free copy of Flash on his computer, and I made one of my greatest creations of all time in Flash animation, which is where my older internet alias Got Flash came from, because I thought that was just like, it's so, it wasn't like, Skull Smasher or, fucking Cool Ninja X_X or whatever, it was just, hey, I like Flash animation, so that's what I went with. My Steam ID is still that, and I've just never bothered to change it because I just don't really care, it's a relic of the past. But anyways, yeah, I went and I created this, I created 3 frames of animation of a carrot getting fucked. And this is one of my great things because I actually went and checked on it just out of curiosity, and it is still an official Clock Day 2006 entry on Newgrounds.com. You can still go and pull that up, and so motherfucking Wade Fulp or Tom Fulp or whoever had to look at that piece of garbage and deem that. We used to do this thing all the time anyway. I don't remember if it actually got forced through, but we used to do this shit all the time. I'm getting ahead of myself here now, but we used to do this shit all the time where we would submit stolen cartoons, and then once it would pass, the voting system, we would immediately swap in, because you were allowed to swap the Flash file in case you updated something or fixed something, but we would just abuse the fuck out of it and just put up some garbage once it was no longer able to be taken down. But I am getting ahead of myself here, so, time goes on, and I don't remember exactly what spurred me into doing it, because I had created one account in 2000, I created a second account in 2002, which I no longer have access to because once I regained access to it, which I had so many accounts banned, I was so malicious. Once I got access to that 2002 Newgrounds account, I fucking went crazy. I named my name some ridiculous offensive shit and uploaded a bunch of extremely offensive shit and got banned, as usual. But in 2005, just something, I was, 12? No. 2005, I was actually going to be 13 going on 14 then. Something that year, I just decided that it was time to start making my internet presence felt. It was time to just step up and do the big league shit. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's time for me to just go on and fucking make my mark in this goddamn internet world. So that was when I created the Got Flash account, which was like my brand new account, my real deal official account in 2005, that summer. And I made the most incredible fucking post on the Newgrounds forums. I'll never forget it. I posted a fucking Google, well actually I don't know, it was Google or something like that. I image searched somehow a fucking image of a baked pie, and I started a thread and I said, God damn, I love pie XD. Is that not just the most fucking stupid teenager first ever internet experience shit? That's pretty much the most standard generic thing I think I possibly could have done. Of course, it devolved as time went on into the most incomprehensible racial slurs mixture of whatever kind of shit you could possibly imagine. Just totally devolved shit posting. But yes, in 2005, I made my mark. I had created accounts on some other places too. Ogrish, Kingdom of Loathing, like I mentioned in that other video. That other EggWars video. And so I went on and I was voting. I would go every single day. You could vote to get your special, you get your XP, the more votes you do every day or whatever. If you did so much every day, you could get this XP and you could level up, and then you get the new icon, and it was, it's so good. It's just the best. It's just, oh my god, I gotta do it every day, so I could level up and be so super cool, be the most cool, awesome guy. And so then in 2005, as I was becoming familiar, that was, I became familiar with the Clock Crew, which was they had on Newgrounds, they had these clans and groups, and crews and unions and syndicates and all this different stuff where people would gather together and they would, basically be like a part of this group. They might adopt a new persona based on the group, like I'm this clock or I'm this star or I'm this fruit or I'm this whatever, just whatever the thing might be. And I was like, God damn, I want to be in the clock crew because that was just the most fucking cool thing. That was just the super coolest thing. So I fucking joined the forum and I don't think I ever even logged in, because I was just so taken aback. You're surrounded by these mods with 10,000 posts. And this guy's been a member for 8 years, and that guy's been a member for, since the day he was born, and everything's so crazy, you're just so insignificant that if you happen to post, everybody's gonna fucking swarm on you and be like, oh, who is this? You think you can step into our lair? You think you can step into our domain? You think you're cool enough to be a member of our super special secret fucking internet forum club? You better fucking think again. So I was so taken aback. I was so like, oh, I just couldn't put myself out there. I was still too nervous. However, there was another group that it was easier to become a part of, because they were so reviled for just being disgusting, and basically, the whole thing with it was, the whole MO was basically acting like a total autistic retard. This was before, shitposting was a thing. Actually, there's gonna be 2 forums in this time frame that I'm gonna talk about. First one was the Barney Bunch, which basically were these people that would create these flash animations of a cartoon, like a still cartoon frame, and they would type in shit on Microsoft Sam and be like, hello, I am whatever cartoon, and just talk like about all this like fucking, depraved sexual hyperbole and everything like that, and they would upload it, and people would post on it. They would post some of the most fucking sick shit on these forums, but it was all in character. They would just, post and be like, oh, I unraveled my 13,000 foot long dick today and I pissed and shit all over the place or whatever, just so stupid and so juvenile and such bathroom humor. But at the time, being at, like, there's a guy who actually still comments on my videos quite frequently named Fred Keltzer. And we actually were both part of this shit at the same time, and we had no idea. And there's a guy actually that ended up being co-owner of my main Newgrounds account who he still has contact with. And I don't even know, I haven't talked to this guy for fucking millions and billions of years now, the guy that we both mutually know, but it's kind of funny, going back to this random autistic fucking shitposting forum that we have this link in a way. But also at the time, there was also another forum that I joined into that was once again extremely autistic and just pure, unbridled autistic shitposting. And that was the Barbecue Burger Beef Man fucking Envision Free or Pro Boards. I don't know. That was just the jam back then, was Envision Free, Pro Boards. There was like Zen boards or something like that. I don't remember all the specifics, but that was where I met a man who went by the name of Sinister Mentor, who I ended up having some history with quite a bit. But he was really actually good animator. I mean, I don't believe he ever went into animation. Last time I talked to Sinister was years and years ago, like, oh my goodness, probably 8 years ago, and he was in the military, I think, at that time. But we initially linked up on the Barbecue Burger Beef Man forum, and I thought, wow, man, this guy's work is great. I would really aspire to be such a fantastic content creator as him someday. But from there, I'm trying to recall how it all ended up linking up, because I think it was that I believe he originally got into this next crew before I did, and I think he kind of like paved the way and allowed me access, if I recall correctly. And that group was none other than the infamous Star Syndicate. Yes, the Star Syndicate, the absolute highest quality shitposting, fucking random, just, I don't know, man. What way to describe it? They were just continuously at the head of the curve in everything. They talked in the most, devolved gibberish language amongst themselves that nobody else could understand, but it was cool, and that was just what you did. That was that was some of their significant ways to determine that they were that was their castle. their castle of shit posting with such beautiful men who I'll never forget, like my boy Chrome. I retweeted one of his he still has a Twitter from like 2008 or 2009 that has like 3 tweets on it. I retweeted one of his tweets not that long ago. But this was just this was like the Wild West. You had so many people who, they were all fantastic content creators, but they just, they didn't give a goddamn, they were their own thing. They were kicking ass and taking names and just going at it and just, this rogue, everybody else was so clean and wholesome and they were like the bad boys, so to be a part of their group was just like, oh man, we're so cool. We're just the coolest. They had things over the years they did where, this was a little bit towards the later end, I think like 2008 or 2009 when I wasn't really checking in on it as much anymore. But, they had, stealing Flash animations, submitting them, then swapping them out for something that might automatically open a bunch of JavaScript windows and crash your computer. There were people who got viruses that basically were like ransomware. Cause one of the memes on the board at the time, the forums, was the Super Sheriff or something like that. There was some kind of ransomware like Super Sheriff or some shit like that would take over your computer unless you paid. And basically it became like this meme. I still have all these motherfucking like Google Hangout chat logs saved in my email from years and years and years ago. Like when I was like fucking probably 10 years ago or more, where they were just, people were calling themselves like Superstar Sheriff and all this random shit. But there was a virus that this guy who went by the name of Golden Cat released on the people's computers, and he basically dressed it up as something else that was interesting, or it was like some kind of false flag, like releasing it as like, oh, it's a game that somebody else made, but it was a virus that he created, and it was just this total craziness, this total insanity that was constantly being wreaked on all these unsuspecting children and otherwise insufferable people. Like, if there's people who still go on that forum, and I know there's people that have been going on that fucking forum for like 15 years and still do, and they haven't ever been banned, it's because they are insufferable pieces of shit. They're like the most fucking insufferable Redditors who constantly adhere to the most fucking politically correct everything you could possibly imagine, and my god, they must be absolutely despicable, awful people to be around. But let me think here, what was I gonna say? But in the peak, I had joined the Star Syndicate, I believe, at this time, if I recall correctly. And I had also done a scheme. I was single-handedly responsible for Newgrounds.com hiding everybody's email addresses, because at one point, when you could go into people's profiles and see what email address was registered to their account. And one time what I did was, I went and I just gathered as many of these email addresses as I possibly could, and I logged into my MSN messaging client, and I began to mass add as many of these people as possible, and I actually captured quite a good amount of them, and actually one of them was the guy who created the peanut butter jelly time, animation. I actually spoke to that guy, and I actually, that ended up getting featured on Family Guy one night, and I was actually on my family computer in our living room while that was on TV, and I spoke to that man as it happened, and that was, many years ago. So that's something I look back with some fondness upon, I guess. I have that mark out there in old internet time, that I was a part of. Anyway, so I basically gathered all these people's information, and I used it as a big elaborate phishing scheme where I pretended to be like Newgrounds support, and I was like, oh my god, I need to, your account is it's shit's fucked up. I need all your account information, and I basically gathered all this information, and I was fucking with people, and I single-handedly from that made them start hiding people's email addresses. So that was one of my one of the things I did that fucked people up. But in the midst of all of this shit going on too, at the same time, they launched something called Pal Talk, or there was an app called Pal Talk, and Newgrounds really wanted to get in on this Pal Talk experience. It was like a chat room with webcam and microphone and all this good shit. So somehow, I have no fucking idea what the thought process behind this was, but through basically using like sock puppet accounts to suggest my own myself be a mod, I was taken and given mod status on this chat room, which was an absolutely terrible idea because I was super irresponsible, but it was ridiculous. I don't know how the fuck this came to be, but I ended up spending a good portion of the summer of 2006 being a moderator for this Pal Talk Newgrounds chat room where I saw a lot of fuckery going on. And then I also ended up organizing a meetup in my somewhat, I wouldn't say local area, but in a somewhat close by area that I then didn't show up because there was a bunch of guys who were like 30 years old, and I'm like, hey mom, can I go hang out with these guys from the internet? And she was like, fuck no, what the fuck are you thinking? And so I didn't go, and they all got like pissed off. They're like, man, what the fuck, man, this was supposed to be the meetup, man. So I fucked that up too. But eventually Wade Falk, who was the owner of the Pal Talk room, kind of connected the dots and realized that I had an IP address that he could see that was creating like dozens of sock puppet accounts for malicious purposes where I was uploading tons of garbage and mass voting it and just doing all kinds of different shit to basically fuck the site up. And he fucking banned like 90 accounts under my IP. And he demodded me from the Pal Talk room, and he was sending me these messages like, hey man, what the fuck is this shit, dude? What the fuck is this shit, man? I thought you were cool, dude, man. I thought we were cool, man. And then Tom Fulp, like, somewhere in this time frame messages me, and he's like, yo, dude, are you a part of the elite 7chan hacker squad that I heard is going to attack Newgrounds.com? I'm like, no, I'm not. Nope, I absolutely am not. So I kind of got out there as like this guy, that was, they thought maybe I just happened to be, a good guy that was mixed up with, a couple of these internet bad dudes, but I was actually cool. I was all, I was all in it, And so then I started to kind of fall from grace in that position. In my last years of really being a part of the website, I spent a lot of time kind of just posting on the Star Syndicate board till one time it ended up getting deleted, and I re-registered again at the board like probably some number of years later, but I never really used my account on there. And I think probably 2009 or some shit like that, I would just go on the Newgrounds forums and just post a bunch of like slurs and then instantly get banned, and that was pretty much the extent of, where it ended at. My dreams of actually animating had kind of, I had significant dreams of it at one point, but I kind of just ended up not really going anywhere with it. I sort of chose the path of being a shit poster and causing random internet havoc over actually honing any sort of animation skills. I mean, when I very first started animating, even before I would submit stuff to Newgrounds, we would take, MS Paint frame by frame, comics. And, sometimes we'd voice over them. Sometimes we would just type the text in and kind of like, put them frame by frame and be like, oh, this is my cartoon I did. This is fun. And, it was harsh because, I don't know, I've always enjoyed, like I said, an artist in the autist, EggWars episode, I always had an affinity. I always had like a lot of ideas, a lot of random stuff I wanted to do in this realm, but I basically just kind of, ended up kind of just giving up on it and just decided to be a total shitposting menace. And I'm trying to think now. I still have a lot of the people who, because I've had my Steam account also for about 12 years now. I just got my 12-year badge or whatever. So I still do have a fair amount of people on my Steam friends list who I have known from this time in the past. I got a DM on Twitter actually a couple months ago from a guy who knew me back in 2009. For one of the last places that I joined, which was the Uzi Union, because I'm trying to think. I did eventually kind of we splintered a little bit at the end of my time in like the Star Syndicate because I was really, I was just going hard. I didn't give a fuck. They were trying to kind of clean up their image a little bit, and I was all about, just posting as many slurs as possible, just being as edgy and offensive as possible. My last avatar that I had, which the dude sent me on Twitter, was a very caricature-esque picture of a black man with a big logo, like a big stamp on it with like a fucking like a big I don't know what you even call that, but like a circle with like a line through it. So I mean, I was pretty edgy. I was pretty just kind of just going off all the time, and it sort of people were just like, man, this guy's kind of off his rocker, and I wasn't, really doing as much animation. So there was some severed ties there, which is unfortunate because, now with where we're at now, there's some people, I know that, last time I really heard from people was probably about 2.5 years ago, because, it was not the cuckening, and if you don't know about the cuckening, you should look that video up on my channel, because I got a video about that event here. It was pre-cuckening. It was actually, I got cucked by this Hispanic chick, and I was really, really upset. I was really, I was really upset, and somebody, I had some posts that got like 400 replies on 4chan, where I was basically just fucking lashing out and just, so angry, and they basically ended up bringing that back to some of these people who were still, together, from that knew me from back in this time, and they were like, oh, you're a 4chan guy now, because they never liked 4chan. 4chan was always considered to be like super way beneath them, like, oh, you're a 4chan, you're an attention whore, you're a trip fag, man, you're such a piece of shit, oh, you're a fucking loser, ha ha ha, and just kind of, laughing it up. So it's unfortunate, that it kind of went down that way, because, people, like I said, people like Fred, people like my boy Justin, who we've known each other for over 5 years now, which is still not, quite the full gambit of how I've been out and was causing havoc and shit back then, but it's still a pretty decent amount of time to know somebody, because I've known a lot of you guys now for like 3 years, and that feels like a long time to me to, because we've been so involved and there's so much shit that's been going on. But, then that was pretty much it, probably around that 2009 era, just, things kind of having that fallen out, I wasn't really animating anymore, just didn't really seem worth it. I was getting banned continuously from Newgrounds, so I was like, whatever, fuck it, I'm not even fucking with it anymore. I in my day-to-day life, I was spending a lot of time on WoW, I was spending a lot of time on, just, being depressed and, whatever the case might have been. So it kind of just died off there, really, for the most part, until, as I talked about in my Origin of Eggman video, then really I kind of came back on 4chan then in 2011, browsing Fit, and then a little bit of V, and then that kind of parlayed from Fit to R9K, parlayed into Poll. When that board came back, I became like super political, and then I basically kind of calmed down on the politicalness, and then I got super into the like incel everything, because I was so pissed off and so miserable and lonely and da-da-da-da. And then pretty much I guess the lesson to take from this story today, as we examine my internet history for the last like goddamn near 20 years at this point, which is fucking despicable, disgusting, absolutely horrendous. What have I done with my life? But I don't even care, because I've had so much fun with it, I guess, at the same time, is that essentially no matter where I go, no matter what group I become a part of or am affiliated with, my weaponized autism is simply a goddamn tool of mass destruction. If I'm going to fucking, whatever forums and wanting to be super edgelord and super becoming, just goddamn, posting walls of as intentionally offensive shit all day as possible, or if I'm on Poll and getting super charged into being super, super, super far right wing and fucking ready for goddamn Turner Diary type shit, just going wild, and then kind of chilling on that. And then hopping in incel shit and just being ready to fucking legalize marriage to body pillows and fucking talking about, basically putting women into slavery and, the beta uprising, all that shit I was into, I guess. I don't know, man. I think I'm just a very mentally unbalanced individual. But I think at the same time now, maybe as I've grown older, perhaps I've kind of mellowed out a little bit. Nowadays, I am more just about, I understand there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of madness going on right now. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of people hurting. And I would just want to say, you know what? It's not about all the craziness. It's not all about the radical thinking. It's not all about that for me these days. It's more about I want to see my brothers, my sisters in arms who I'm rocking with. I'm rocking with people from all over the place. If you're rocking with me, I'm rocking with you, and I want to see you win. I want people to be able to achieve what they want to achieve. I want people to be able to do what they want to do. I don't want anybody to have to, go through a lot of suffering and misery and have their dreams, fucking swept out from under them and, have no idea where they're going in life. Not that long ago, there was a guy who I went to high school with who basically kind of found himself in that position where he was just, he had some bad shit happen to him and he just didn't think he was going to be able to come back from it and he killed himself. And it's, as somebody who's gone through a lot of depression and all that shit, it's like, man, I just don't ever want to see somebody who I know and who I talk to a lot, who I'm close to. I don't want to see bad things happen to them. I want them to be able to progress as far in life as they want to and achieve what they want to achieve. So that's what we're rocking with. We're staying positive. You know, we've gone through a lot of bullshit from way back to now, but we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to stay uplifted, my friends. We're going to stay determined. We're going to stay consistent, persistent with our goals and dreams, and so on and so forth. So there you have it, my friends. The tale from being a retarded autistic shitposter to becoming a retarded autistic shitposter is complete. And I appreciate y'all spending this time with me today for another episode of Egg Wars. If you have any other questions or concerns, please do let me know. If you have any other topics you want to suggest, you could post that in the comment section. Once again, make sure to do check out that music video that my boy Fart Crapper made. Until next time, my friends, we'll see you later.
Sounds from the void.